Okay, so Of Monsters and Men is an artist that I've been interested in for quite some time, namely because of the song Little Talks. I don't remember when that first came out. I did not write that down, but I have a computer in front of me. I can check. I want to say that was 20, like maybe 2014, maybe like 2012-ish. So maybe it's right in the middle in like 2013. 2011. Okay. 2011, I think that's when it first came out in Iceland. I don't know when it first came out here in the States. Can I get an answer on that? I don't really know. Anyways, sorry, to my point though. The early 2010s. And it's a song that I've always really liked. I particularly remember this, I think it was a Coke commercial, had an instrumental cover of that song, and I really, really like the instrumentation in that version as well. Just always had an affinity for it. So I was interested in checking out the group. I didn't know a whole lot of their other songs. I knew that one, I think, from the first album, King of the Lionheart and Your Bones, and from the second album, Crystals. And that was it. That was all of my familiarity. But I liked all four of those songs. And having listened to them now, the first two albums, My Head is an Animal and Beneath the Skin, I enjoyed a lot. I find that it's folk music and it's often very soothing and sometimes haunting. I want to give a shout out to the song Thousand Eyes for being one that felt like particularly haunting to me when I was listening to it. I mean this in genuinely the best possible way. It sounds like the kind of music I'd hear around a campfire or in a tavern, or like if I was in a fantasy setting and there was like a big village festival, a big village festival. I don't know why that was so hard to articulate. But something like that, where there's just like a big party, or even if it's not a party, it's more of just like a low-key, chill vibe. And I enjoyed the heck out of that. And even it's the music, I think, is genuinely very cozy, but it's not always happy. And I think Little Talks is a really good example of that. Like, it's a song that has a lot of energy. You know, the vocals are, I think, incredibly beautiful, but it is ultimately a song about loss, and it's a song about grief. Um, Another one that comes to mind from the second album would be Organs. Like, the first, because I will say, I listened to the first two albums twice, because I kind of had them on in the background, and I liked them, but I realized I'm not getting in the full experience. Let me listen to these again and like really focus on them. But even that first time, that casually in the background, Organs was a song that really stood out to me. But excuse me, a lot of their songs are really catchy. Like I said, I'm familiar with The King and the Lionheart, and I can't tell you how often, just every now and then, I'll be doing whatever, and then I'll just think to myself, howling ghosts, they reappear. Like, that line will just pop into my head in tune. I'm like, that's so catchy. And I think there's a song Animal from the second album where the phrase beneath the skin comes from. The breathe in, breathe out. Do 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 do. Breathe in. Oh, excuse me. That popped into my head so many times after listening to it, and sometimes I would just think to myself, breathe in, breathe out. Do 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 do. Immediately followed by howling ghosts. It's really catchy. And some of the songs, like again, Little Talks and Crystals, just have a lot of energy to them, which is something I enjoy a lot. And the slower ones, like Slow and Steady or Organs, are also really good. These songs can feel really different from each other, but they're all beautiful. Um, Something I noted is there's a lot of loneliness in their music. Like Little Talks, Organs, Love, Love, Love. Those are ones that I noted. I remember there was this pause during Love, 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 and when I was like really listening to the album that time, that just pause hit me really hard. And then we get Fever Dream. And that's kind of a fitting name for this album. So I noted some songs. It was, I think, Waiting for the Snow kind of felt like a song that could be on one of their first two albums. And then there was Wild Roses, which almost felt like a bridge between the previous albums and this album's style. I thought Alligator was a really good opening, but most of the album for me just felt too different because I was really enjoying the folk. Because I think it was like, I listened to the first album, I was like, okay, this is kind of what I was expecting. I liked it a lot. Then the second album, okay, like this is basically the first album part two. You know, it has a lot of those similar styles. I'm enjoying this. I think they just found their niche, and it's a niche I really like. And then I go into Fever Dream, like, okay, never mind. They did something completely different. This sounds like a Migment album. And I like Migment albums. But what? And I feel like it's important to say, it's not even that I think the album is bad, but it was so different from what I was expecting, it just threw me off, and I kind of never recovered. And then we get, you know, All Is Love and Pain in the Mouse Parade, which, speaking of Migment, to me, it reminded me a lot of Loss of Life, particularly because it's an album that I listened to, and it was putting me to sleep. And again, I mean that in the best possible way. Not in a, wow, this is really boring and this really sucks. It was just, I've been really exhausted. And I just needed to rest. And something about this album and its vibe and its sound allowed me to do that. And so, like, I was kind of half asleep because it was lulling me to sleep. Like, I guess that's it. It's like the whole album for me felt like a lullaby. And I was half asleep while listening to it, so it had this very kind of dreamlike feel, which made me enjoy it a lot. And there's a part of me that's like, maybe I should have listened to those Fever Dream and Mouse Parade a second time as well. Because maybe with Fever Dream, if I listened to it again, like, okay, this is just what the album is, I would enjoy it more. But I will say, I gave it my full attention when I was listening to it. It just didn't super hit. And then with Mouse Parade, I'm like, maybe I should listen to it again, but, you know, be fully alert and fully awake. But at the same time, I kind of don't want to, because I liked that experience. Like, I don't know if I can say it's unique, because again, there was another album relatively recently that hit me in the same way, but it's still a special experience, and it's something I kind of needed at the time, and I really appreciated it. So I would say, I think my personal ranking of the albums, it's Fever Dream is at 4, Mouse Parade is at 3, but I think if I re-listen to it, I could probably put it up. Because I think, to me, the first two albums are interchangeable. I like them about the same. I don't really have a preference between them. Overall, I do think this was a very solid experience. I'd be interested in listening to another one of their albums. Now where I'm like, okay, so here's the first two. This was something completely different. This was something completely different from that and that. Although, I feel like if Mouse Parade had come out in between Beneath the Skin and Fever Dream, I could see it as more of a bridge. It reminds me of Fall Out Boy, where you've got, this is Folie à Deux, and then this is Save Rock and Roll, and then, like, 3 albums later, So Much for Stardust, and if you put Stardust here, okay, this maybe flows a little bit better. But overall, solid experience. I did have a good time. And this is a group I would highly recommend if you just kind of want something comforting and just something to vibe to.